Alright, how's it going, people? Let's fix this a little bit. There we go. Bam. There it is. Tan, tan, tan. Made my famous Starbucks. There we go. Alright, you guys. So, today, I'm sorry. Please forgive this unworthy soul. I started without you. I'm going to be doing, as you can see here by the preliminary sketch, I'm going to be doing a bouquet with flowers, flower bouquet. It's going to be super awesome. And this is a larger 24 by 36 inches on stretch canvas. Super awesome. This is just a super cool thing that I'm gonna do here. And if you don't say it's super cool to your own work, you really have to work on your self-esteem, you guys, because all work you do is worthy of awesomeness. Okay? Just telling you that, just a little piece of nugget right there. Never undermine your work. I know I used to do that, and I had art friends who did that, and some of them still do it. Others probably still do it too. Do that. Don't say, well, it's just a little sketch. Nope. It's not just a little sketch. It's not just a little simple painting. It's a work of art. Okay, give it the respect it deserves, because even if it takes you like myself, even if it takes you, I don't know, half an hour, 20 minutes, 1 hour, whatever, it doesn't matter. It didn't take you, in my case, it didn't take me 30 minutes or 20 minutes to learn how to do it. It took me, it still takes me. I haven't gotten the whole hang of it. I don't think I ever will. I hope I never will. That way I keep exploring. But it has taken me over almost 20 years to get to this point, right? And I'm not talking about this point of, many people get it wrong. They're like, well, your painting sucks. No, I'm to this point of the level of realism. Many people get stuck on the style. No, I'm talking about the use of your craft, whatever your craft is. It doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with your painting style, your technique, or your, none of that BS matters. What matters is your work that you've put in. What matters is the level of commitment that you have for your work. And that really separates the boys from the man, or the girls from the women. I don't know if I just made that one up. But it's your commitment to your work. Okay? Above all, I'll leave you with that. Give it the respect it needs, whatever you do. Whether you do portraits or you do a combination, landscapes, portraits, I don't know what you do. It doesn't matter. So That's how we do it here. Okay. Pretty cool, huh? Well, you know, one way that I like to see artwork, how I like to think of it, I guess. Any type of artwork, painting, sculpting, or whatever. You're sort of weaving. Sometimes it looks like you're playing with colored textiles, you know, depending on the style. I like to see it a lot as weaving. I remember I used to see my grandmother in Mexico, you know, knit stuff, sort of, you know, knitting, weaving, I don't know, putting two strings together, marrying two strings. It really comes down to that. Some people have asked me, like, how do you do it so that the colors don't get muddy, and, you know, when you lay the color, it stays there, and you're not really having a very hard problem. That's the trick. The trick is the weaving aspect of it. It really comes down to you have to mess up enough. You have to mess up a lot. That's how you get good. You know, you paint more than your artist friends, and then you start getting the hang of it in a different way. Doesn't mean that you become better than them. You become better of you. You know, you become a better you. You don't become better than, you know. If you're striving for that, you already lost the game. You become better you. I was blessed enough to learn that. I didn't learn it early enough, but I learned it early enough to stop doing it. You know, to stop trying to be better or like another artist. And I know my work might look like someone else's work. You know, I know, of course. I mean, if your work doesn't look like someone else's work, you're either a trailblazer or you are from a different planet, you know. Because no matter how awesome you paint, you end up looking like someone, you know, unless you're a trailblazer, like, you know, I don't know. Think of an artist, Pollock, right? Someone with a very unique style. Other than that, you have artists, and even Pollock. No, Pollock did some type of realism before he started doing that with his brother. Forgot his name. His brother artist. Anyways, that's not important. What is important though is that you keep it cool. Keep it cool. Okay, so I forgot, you guys. I'm so sorry. Some of you are like, what colors are you using, dude? I forgot to narrate the colors at this point. This is a dark, of course, a dark green. I'm using a burnt umber and a phthalo blue to create this green. It makes a really nice green. Sometimes I like to use ultramarine blue. The reason why I loved using ultramarine for quite a few sometimes is because I've always been a very big fan of the Impressionist work, the Impressionist painters, and It doesn't take much when you start visiting galleries and museums, not galleries, and you start seeing that this guy's used a lot of French ultramarine in their work, and I wanted to use some of that. I like to use also the color directly because it creates a translucency onto the canvas, especially when you scratch it like this. Okay, it creates some sort of translucency, and I'm a fan of that. You see how I scratch it? There's a reason why that is. And it comes to a point where you don't lift it. You see what I'm doing? You don't lift it. Because the more you lift it, then you have to get back in place. I remember I think I told you guys this before, I used to work with my brother. He had a small remodeling business going on. And I've always been a student of the arts, one way or another, right? Of course, I was already painting. I started really young, but I used to work with my brother, and he would tell me when we're laying tile, you know, for one of the remodel homes, he noticed that I would use a sponge to clear out the grout excess or whatever. But see, when you do it is that you get your sponge and then you dip it in the water, in a bucket of water, and then you squeeze it and then you clean the grout, right? Anyways, that's what I remember. And he noticed that every time I needed the bucket of water, I had to get up, or my bucket of water was far away from me. And it wasn't because I was lazy. It was because I didn't understand the tricks of the trade. Like, you have to have everything at hand, right? And he would tell me, when you're working, the closer you are to things, you know, the more efficient you will be. And it will become second nature for you. So I applied that in painting. I started noticing how some artwork looked like this by some very famous artists. Like, one of my favorite ones is the painter John Singer Sargent. And if you look at his work, even also Rubens, if you look at his work, and Velázquez, a lot of the stuff looks like another one. I'm going to throw another name just because I love those guys. I love what they did. It's William Turner, right? The Romantic painter. You could see that there was a lot of this going on. They didn't lift it, because every time you lift it, now you have to replace yourself again, and that creates a gap where you have to now find yourself again. And I've understood that over the years. You know, it might not work for you, it's fine, but I'm just sharing this nugget. I've understood that over the years of painting and painting and painting. I wasn't so obsessed with painting quote unquote realistic or beautiful. I was obsessed with their techniques more. The way they lay down the brush, the way they use the palette in certain, in certain areas. And that's what I studied every time I went to the museums. I didn't really study the realistic techniques, because that, for the most part, you can get it with, atelier, modern master, quote unquote, or whatever. Someone, you shadow. You can get those techniques with someone. There's a lot of people that have studied how to make things three-dimensional and this and that, and how to give it life. I wasn't interested in that. My angle in art has been, how is it that they do it so that it looks effortlessly? What is it that they do? Why does it look like everything just fits like a puzzle, but it doesn't seem that there's much intention? Like there's not, it's not thought out. it seems like if you get close to any of those paintings, you're blown away. I always say this, and I'll say it again. I always say this. Sometimes I sound funny. If you really want to know what art, why art is in the museum, the type of arts that, especially the old 19th century, 20th century painters, if you really want to see why they're there, go check out their brushwork. That's one of the things that I pay attention to. Go check out their brushwork. When you get close to a very realistic painting, whether it's by a famous artist, right? Especially those Rubens, those Peter Paul Rubens, or I don't know, a Dali-esque painting, whatever you get. When you get close enough, one of my favorite ones, Velázquez. You get close enough, you realize the level of maturity that it has. It's almost hard to describe. It's first of all, it's extremely impasto in there. And I don't think it's just the paint that is impasto in there. It's that the ground is very heavy, right? The ground is very heavy there. The yeso they used or whatever, it was very heavy. And the layers of color, you can tell that are thin in some areas, and then they play with impasto in other ones. And depending on the school, right? But for the most part, the classic European painters, right? That's one thing that you see right away. I'm just telling you guys, go check them out. If you haven't, right? Some of you guys, of course, are lovers of the arts, and you guys go often to the museums. But if I'm not a very proponent of going to galleries. One of the reasons why not is because, again, I learn from other industries. I learn from other industries and little things here and there, little pieces of nuggets of wisdom. And my brother was a very advanced. What do they call it? Pool player. Played pool. Not like professionally, but enough to make you sit there and stand there and watch him, and gather a crowd. He was very good at it. And I started playing with him, and he used to tell me, you know what, I'm not going to play with you that much, and be careful not to play, because when he started teaching me a little bit, he was like, be careful not to play with people who don't know how to play. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you get bad. I'm like, no way. He's like, yeah, you get bad. And I'm like, no way. Sure enough, you start playing with people who don't know how to play, and you start picking up on their bad habits. Or they don't challenge you enough where you think the game is easy. And now when it's time to play with someone who's a little bit more advanced, well, you weren't training with something hard, right? You were training with something easy. In other words. So let me get back to why. You might understand now why I don't like to visit local galleries. And I'm not trying to sound like, I'm not trying to sound like a butt, you guys, but I become very careful to where I learn my stuff. I know that it sounds like, oh, come on, but I'll go to a gallery showing or whatever, but I'm not going to go there and take a sketch pad and try to learn. I go to museums for that. Only museums. I don't even like looking at stuff like, how some people are like, oh, I'm going to learn from this course online or this or that. I personally don't like to do it because you don't get to see the detail. Unless you're looking at something like general, right? Like what I'm doing. But you really need to... you really need to be there in front, to get the full the full idea of what's happening, and with someone very professional, no? And what better place than museums, you know? Not everything that is in a museum, of course. I'm talking about if you're into stuff like me, like classical stuff, or I like some modern stuff, but you gotta be choosy also with. Well, you don't have to be. I'm saying that with there's some really cool modern contemporary art out there, and usually the bigger name galleries have those artists. Sometimes it's rare when you find a gem in a mom and pop gallery. You do here and there, but usually when that happens, you find an artist who's only produced about 5-10 pieces of work. It's not really advanced in creating or molding the artwork. Those of you who have followed my videos, in Spanish we call that la obra. Right? La obra means the body of work, not just a couple of paintings and then like, oh yeah, look how great he paints. No, like when you're gonna see a high caliber artist, you like to see artwork and that you enjoy that. You start looking deeper into it and you start looking at the body of work, not just a couple of pieces that the artist might use to impress some people. But you want to see the whole body of work. Let me see and of course you can't see the whole body of work. I'm not talking about they're not gonna have it. They probably sold it or whatever. But for the most part, you get to see some of it anyways. Or many times an artist will show you in a painting or two. If you're a seasoned collector or whatever, you start noticing certain little things that you're like, oh no, this guy's been around. He's got it down. It's not his first rodeo. And they get to show you something really well cooked. Something that's been in the burner or in the kettle or whatever, however you want to put it. That's the type of art that I like to see. I like to see work that is very worked, reworked. And I'm not talking about reworked, you guys know what I mean. Not reworked like when Monet was creating his one of his large paintings. I forgot what it's called. The Picnic or something like that. And Courbet was like, that painting's unfinished. Not reworked like that. I'm talking about reworked as when they hit maturity, the artist starts giving you something very different. They start giving you precision, even if they do, especially you can see it many times if they do, because it's harder to see, so it's easier to feel. The harder it is to see, it's easier to feel. I believe that in abstract art. You see an abstract artist hitting maturity, you definitely feel it. You definitely feel, oh, this artist is like, and they send you to cloud nine right away when you see their work. It's the same like listening to a professional singer. It's not the same to listen to a professional singer who just got out of the academy, who can hit every note, as listening to a professional singer who's been in the road or recording for 10, 15 plus years or more. They know what to do with a microphone. They know what to do with they know all these things, right? They have all these things that when they start doing it, you can't help but feel this immense that which they're giving you, awesomeness they're giving you. They're sharing with you at that moment. Dancers do it very well too. Talked about, I mean, regardless of what you feel or you know, however you think about this artist, but like Michael Jackson, you know, he started moonwalking when he was young, and it came out really awesome and really precise and very cool, right? And everybody was like, wow, you know. But then you see him moonwalk again when he's older, when he's done it 1,000 or 10,000 different times. Besides the rehearsal part, he's done it on stage so many times, he gives you something else. It's a deeper experience. That's what I like. That's the kind of stuff I'm very particular about. So yeah, this whole painting is with a palette knife. It's a commission for one of my collectors. And the cool thing is that the collector now is going to have an awesome video to look at and see how their work was created. I like to do that sometimes. Makes it extra special, right? Check it out, check it out. Okay, one of the things that will help you if you are learning how to do some of this stuff, palette knife or whatever, start out thin. Don't start out too thick. That's where many, unless that's your style, then I mean, don't listen to me, right? But if you like what I do, don't start out too thick. You know, or who knows? Maybe if you start out thick, you'll like it. I don't know. It helps to build it up. You want to build it up. And that way, if you don't like something, it's easier to remove, right? But if it's too thick, it's becoming more difficult to remove. Now you start getting stuff that maybe you didn't want. A little tip right there for you guys. To put it in your arsenal of awesomeness. There's really no right or wrong way of doing it. You know, I always say this. There's only practice, and like the great Vaynerchuk says, the great. I'm gonna start calling him the great. Maybe other people have it. Gary Vaynerchuk. He's got some awesome stuff for those of you who know about him. Awesome content. He's not a painter. Like he's into social media. And he's a marketer. Business guy. He's always talking about how you get good when you start, you know, when you work your face off. I couldn't agree with him more. I feel like many artists want to get good, you know, right away, and it doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen that way. Many artists, I know from myself, right? I'm not trying to bash on anyone. I'm talking about myself and other people that I met. That's not really bashing, okay? I'm just giving examples. You want to develop a very precise, super modern style right away. You know, you want to... And it doesn't happen that way, guys. And if it does, well, you're blessed, awesome. But I don't know, I've never met anyone who did that. Just, out of the blue, just paints really awesome and developed a very neat, personal style, which is what most artists, are shooting for. I never met anyone who did that. I only met and seen people who, as Gary Vaynerchuk says, work their faces off, and something good happens out of that. Always, good stuff happens out of that. You don't only get better at it, but you start learning stuff that it could not be possible without the agent of hard work. It just could not be possible. I look back at how I started, when I started painting and everything, and where every stage of where I've been growing and everything, and I realized none of it really can be possible without the agent of just very hard work, a lot of attention, and regardless of what you do, right? Regardless of what you do. You're probably looking at this and you're into physical training too, not just painting. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. You're probably looking at this and you're you have a daytime job which pays you really well, or you're very good at, which probably pays you really well because you're good at it. And the sacrifices that you needed to make in order to get to that level. It's no different with this. Whatever that level is for you. So stay committed. Keep doing your thing. Don't lose sight. Do not lose sight of what is important. Whatever is important for you. Maybe style right now is very important for you. Don't lose sight of it, cling to it, hang on to it. And even if you quote unquote do the wrong thing, I always say this, even if you do the wrong thing, whatever the wrong thing is, I don't know, or the right thing is, something good will come out of it. The practice is inevitable. The practice is always inevitable. As long as you continue to forge in, just don't do the same thing over and over. That no matter how much you do of that, right? No matter how much you do of that, it'll get you the same results, of course. I've had someone tell me that the other day. They're like, well, you're talking about the 10,000 hours, man, but what if you keep doing the same thing? I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, even if you do the same thing, eventually you'll realize you're doing the same thing. The same mistakes. And you'll get out of it. Hopefully. No, whatever that is for you. Whatever it is for you, whether it's, I don't know, whether you want to be a realist painter, of course you want to keep learning stuff, right? You're not going to tell me, well, Jose said that if I just keep doing the same thing, no, right? It doesn't work that way. You want to continue to learn. Check it out, you guys. I love my job. You gotta love your job. I really am blessed, guys. to be able to just take this moment, right now and realize that not only I get to do what I love for a living, but I get to share it also. I mean, what times are we living? We're living in that. Not only you have the opportunity to do what you love to do, because of so many channels have opened, but also you get to share your process and like this, these videos I'm doing here, sharing with you guys my artistic process and the stuff that goes through my mind. And you guys allow me to do that. Thank you so much. Thank you, YouTube, too. But it's really cool, those of you guys who like what I do and have left me your comments and have subscribed, and it's I take it to heart. It's pretty awesome. And one and two other haters here and there too. You guys are awesome too. I like my haters too. But honestly, it's pretty cool. I'm very happy that I get to do this. I get to talk about it. I get to go into it, in a deeper way. I'm not just painting here. And this is one of the reasons I didn't want to do the same thing everybody else. I know everybody keeps asking me, and I will do some for you with colors and what I use, but everybody's doing that. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to talk to you guys about the process beyond the materials and the brushes and this and that. And I'm also going to share that with you guys, believe it or not. I'm also going to continue to share that with you guys, because I know it's very important for especially for beginners. I understand it's very important. I certainly wanted to know that when I was starting out. But I wanted to also take you guys a little deeper into the creative process, a little deeper into the journey, not just the exterior, the shell. Here you're gonna use magenta, and then you're gonna mix it with titanium white, and I mean everybody's doing that. Every other channel is doing that, and there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's pretty cool. I like it. It's like awesome. I'm gonna do some of that too, because I know it's important for some of the viewers and listeners, but also I wanted to share some insights that I don't see artists doing, which I believe that if I had that opportunity, it would have been more, it would have been great for my development as an artist. You're talking to it's almost like an apprenticeship, right? When I started painting, I was I died for an apprenticeship. If an artist would take me in, usually apprenticeships were very expensive for some of the artists that I really they still are, that I really enjoy, and I think it's really cool that we get to do this kind of stuff through the power of the internet. Anyways, you guys get my je ne sais quoi. Hey, bam, bam. And as all good art, form before detail. Okay, guys. Form before detail. But this is when it comes, especially to some sort of form of realism, any type of realist work. Many artists like to say that, right? They like to chant that, form before detail, form before detail. It doesn't always work that way. I prove it over and over. Many times, and if you see the sketches of the preliminary works of many of the painters, especially the modern, Impressionist or the modernist painters or post-impressionists. They kind of bypass that, many of them. You can see that in their drawings. They were doing detail as they were doing form at the same time. They seem to not follow that advice, which I thought was pretty cool. Because, in art, some stuff makes sense. Some stuff doesn't. And it's okay if it doesn't. That's why I always talk about, don't get caught up, guys, don't get caught up. The reason is because I want you to, from the get-go, if you're learning how to do some of this stuff, allow yourself to not know so that you can learn. Because if you know, or if you want to know, you may miss out the most important part of which I believe the most important part of the creation of art is, which is the ability or the gift, I think, of not knowing. It's a gift. I really believe it's a gift. Because if you don't know, then you allow yourself to create mistakes. And if you create mistakes and you don't know they're mistakes, you start developing right away the channel for your voice, for your vision. But imagine if someone would have told Van Gogh over and over that everything he was doing was a mistake. Because according to that time period, he was. That's why I think it's funny when some artists tell me, oh man, what are you doing that? You don't do that like that. Like, what are you talking about, son? I do whatever I want. And you should be able to do whatever you want too. Because that is how you develop your voice. And of course, there's some standard stuff that is very important. And especially if you're doing certain type of work, right? But I guarantee that if you would have not had any training and you were a portrait painter and you put in the time and the will, even without training, let's say you're a realistic portrait painter or whatever, the wanting, the necessity of the heart to create that work would make you a better portrait artist than any other portrait artist with training, or many others with training. Just because the heart is much more stronger. And I'm not trying to say that it's not important. It is important to get, training or whatever. If that's what you're looking for, that's awesome. There's nothing wrong with it, of course. What I'm saying is that even if you don't have it, if you really wanted to, you wouldn't need it. And people like to say, do it wrong so that you can do it right, stuff like that. People have all kinds of stuff about formal training. But think about this one. Some of the best artists left their art school. And I'm not suggesting that. I'm trying to prove a point. Sometimes what works, or what has always worked, doesn't really work, and you have to invent it. You have to go get it yourself, and you have to make sure that especially when it comes to your vision as an artist, Otherwise, we wouldn't have those romantic stories of Monet saying, "But the man has big feet," the model they were doing. So I'm gonna paint big feet. We wouldn't have those romantic stories, Anyways, I'll leave you with that. Check it out. The name is Jose Trujillo. I am a super, what's up, you guys? Awesome artist. And cool. Very cool. This is it, you guys. The moment of truth. There's always a moment of truth. Here we go. Oh, before the moment of truth, let me do a little bit more of this right here. Now the moment of truth. Here we go. Trujillo is the name. Don't forget it unless you want to, then you can forget it. But I bet you're going to. You're going to have a hard time forgetting it. Because I'm awesome like that. Okay, you guys. Have an awesome, blessed day. Keep it cool. And don't overthink this. It's simple. Just keep practicing. Just keep swimming, as Dory would say. Have a great day. Bye-bye.